Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Benita Johnson.
Hi, welcome to Books and Bottles. I'm your host, Benita Johnson. I'm so excited to be back with you today as we start to get to the end of the first half of season 3. So if you've been with us before, welcome back. We thank you and we appreciate you for being a part of our family. If this is your first time, you're in for a treat. This is where we introduce you to your favorite author, their work, and we pair it with a wine. So I'm drinking wine today. As usual, no surprises, right? So we'll talk about that wine in a second. So again, you're going to be excited tonight. So today, this is like a big deal. So we're like halfway through season 3, and we have not had a man on the show yet. So today is our first male author, and I found this person. Y'all know how I am. I find people on Twitter and Facebook and IG. So I found this individual on I think it was the group like 50 and older or something like that. And so even though I'm still 35, they let me get in the group. So I'm in this group and I found this person who had written a book about something that was near and dear to my heart. So I introduced to you Mr. Bobby Jeter.
Hey, Miss Benita, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. First, I would like to say thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform, and me and everyone here at Smash Nichols Entertainment. We really do appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
So it's an honor for us to have you. As I said, you're the first guy of the season, and this is like way late into the season. So you're like king of season 3 already, right?
Right. I love it. I love it.
So I appreciate you. So you caught my attention, I think, because I saw you in a group. I think we're both in a group where, we're, some people say we're over 50. We just go with it, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're in this group, and you had a book, and I'm holding it up. PTSD is an asshole. And PTSD is a huge issue. And what drew me to it is that so many people think, when you think about PTSD, and PTSD stands for post-traumatic
stress disorder.
Yes, thank you. And so we only think of it as being associated with being in the military as it relates to war, but it's so much bigger than that.
Absolutely.
So why did you write this book?
I wrote this book for several reasons. One, I am a veteran, Army veteran, a Desert Storm veteran. My father is a Vietnam veteran, and both of us do suffer from PTSD. And a couple of things I wanted to point out is it's not just PTSD dealing with the military. It's any traumatic event that has happened in a person's life. That's where that could be very, very damaging to them. And they feel they may have recovered from it, but something will trigger them. A sound, a smell, a noise, anything can trigger them and take them back to that moment, that exact moment when they had a traumatic event. And so me writing this book is to bring awareness of PTSD, the different causes of PTSD, and more importantly, how do we deal with having PTSD? And then on top of that, the loved ones, our caregivers, who are they and what are they providing for us as people who suffer from PTSD?
So I think a lot of us who have suffered from PTSD, because I have it too, those of us who suffer from it, we kind of carry a shame with it instead of educating our loved ones about it so they can understand what we're dealing with, and so they can best handle us, for lack of a better word, like how they can help us cope with it. So how do you have any suggestions of how we can not be so ashamed of our trauma? Because the traumatic things that we've gone through, we didn't do them to ourselves. These are things that happen to us.
These are things that happen. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we, as a people, we're ashamed of what may happen or just having the title PTSD. In the olden days, the military people used to call it shell shock. And they were set off into like a certain community where, okay, if you're shell shocked, No one wanted to deal with you. You got your crazy check at the end of the month, and you kind of was, on your own little island. But now it's so important that we talk about it because we have different platforms and so many people are talking about what's really going on. I think Tyler Perry did a great job in talking about some traumatic events that happened during one. I can't remember which movie it was, but he talked about how important it is to express what you're really going through. It's okay to talk about the events, and you'd be surprised how close you have someone that's next to you that may have the exact same issue that you're going through. And I think it's important once you start to share stories, then you'll find that there are certain organizations that's put in place to help you. And in this book that I wrote, we have different points of contact where you can call and reach out to people, and help groups, self-help groups that can allow you to reach out to someone and get some help if you need help.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that it's just, as we said, it's not just military wartime. It can be domestic violence can cause it. I know growing up, I was raised by a single dad, and my dad was very, he adored me, right? And so, but, he was a single man, very handsome, had his own business. And so whenever it was snow, he had a truck, so he was gone, because he could drive people places, and, he was a brick mason, so he was digging out. So I was by myself. And so I still have this real, I go in a dark place in the snow because I was by myself as a kid. And so it's not just, people kind of dismiss it if you weren't in the military. And I am a DV survivor. And so that's another thing. And so, I think it's important that we educate people that is not just about the military.
Right. And I think that's a great point. There's two places that we go to, and I'm going to point out specifically in our community, in the Black community, two places that we go to. We talk about things inside the house, and whatever happens in the house, stay in the house. And we've done that for generations and generations. Not saying that's good or bad, but these are things that actually happen. And the second place we go to as a safe haven is our church. And a lot of times our spiritual leaders, they can give advice from a general standpoint, but when you have to pinpoint something, they may not be equipped to do that. That's why it's important that you have someone who is educated, who's been certified to counsel you on specific events that has happened in your life. That is so important. Oftentimes we can run to the church and we give all of our business to the church. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but sometimes even the personnel at the church are not equipped to give us the proper guidance and leadership to get to the root of our problems.
Absolutely. I've had my therapist on this show. She wrote a book, so I had her on here as an author. And I remember when I first went to her, I think I started in 2008. And when I got to the end of my sessions, because at first, a lot of us, in the Black community, like you say, we go to church, we pray about it. We don't need to go to a therapist. But I went to therapy, right? And I went reluctantly, but probably by the second session, I was like, yep, I kind of like it here. Yeah. And so when I got to my end, and she's like, okay, this is the last session. I'm like, oh, no, there's no way. What can I pay you? Because I need to stay. I can pay you beyond my insurance. Why is it, or why do you think it is that we're so uncomfortable with going to seek professional help? Because I mean, as a Black person, we kind of born into trauma, right?
That's true. That's very true.
In America.
In America, we are born into trauma. I like how you put that. I think a simple answer is that a lot of times we find ourselves, we don't have insurance, or we don't have good insurance that's going to cover therapy. We just have enough insurance that's going to cover if I got a car accident or something like that, something physical. But when we look at the mental health side of it, we've been built traditionally to deal and carry our burdens with us. And then whatever we go through, we just go through. I remember growing up with my three brothers, and my dad would always tell us, don't cry. Whatever you're going through, if you get in a fight, if your feelings get hurt, you can't cry. You have to hold those feelings in and carry it with you and man up. And traditionally over the years, we've always done that, and we've never been able to express our feelings. And so going to a counselor, that's almost unheard of in our community. But as we become more educated, and you can see the benefits of going to a licensed counselor, where it can put you back in a place where you're living a good life. Instead of just being alive, you're actually living. that's the benefits of that.
Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful. So how did you become an author? Because you've written several books, and we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about a couple of the other ones that you've written too.
Yeah, I became an author. I currently work in corporate America in the pharmaceutical industry, and I've been around for 18 years. And in my journeys, I should say, I've had a large measure of success. I've been very, very successful. And when you have a certain amount of success, what we call is President's Club. I'm a 4-time President's Club winner. And that's basically equivalent to the Super Bowl. If you know what the Super Bowl is, of course, President's Club is like that. You win the money and you go on these large trips and they just kind of spoil you with all kinds of gifts. And we've gone to Ireland and we've gone different places and we've had such a good time on these trips, and they pay for everything. And that all comes to my success that I've had in sales. And so when you start telling your story to people kind of say to you, man, you should write that down and you should put that in a book. That's a pretty interesting story. And so the last time someone said that to me, I did just that. I came to my office here and I just started writing, and I just couldn't stop writing. And once I, got so many pages of it, I contacted an editor and a publisher, and I just say, hey, this is what I have. This is what I'm trying to do. And she told me after about 72 hours, she said, Bobby, your book is complete. All you got to do now is get a photo, and we're gonna publish this puppy. And I was like, wow, okay, just that simple, huh? And so we went through, and she helped me organize things how she wanted it done, and she gave me a vision to kind of look at certain things and things she wanted to point out. And I was very pleased with the result. And I think I was just overjoyed just being a published author. And one of the things I did, because the book is about sales, learning strategies, simple steps for superior sales. That's my first book I've ever written. Yes. And I'm glad you held that up, because when I go into a Barnes and Nobles or a Books A Million or go into Target or Walmart, when you go to the sales department, you don't see anyone of color on those book covers. And
That's true.
I wanted to make sure that if this is going to be my first book, I want to be smiling as big as I can. I want my face to be right there, so when you see it, you'll know exactly what's going on there.
So do you feel like we as African Americans have a different challenge when it comes to sales?
Absolutely. The challenge is just being in the game. It's one thing of getting in the game. It's another thing of staying in the game. Look, you can go to the dance, but what can you do to navigate yourself and sustain while you're in this environment? Corporate America, there's no time for emotions or feelings. You're surrounded by sharks, and it's either swim or drown. And the challenges that we have is sometimes we're just picked last for everything. And so you have to be able to navigate through the conversations. You have to be able to be smart enough to hold your own when you're called upon, and you have to be the best of the best. And that's one of the things I noticed from the very, very start, and the obstacles that I faced. And all of this is in the book. It's pretty interesting. I've had a lot of success and I've had a lot of failures, and I was bold enough to put in the book my failures. And I'm glad that I did, because I've had some great responses from that. And the best part of this project that I was working on is I've had people come back and tell me, I appreciate the nuggets that you left. And this is not just for pharmaceutical sales. If you're in any kind of sales, this can be beneficial to you.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to read it. I just entered into a world of sales. I've been selling wine for a lot of years, but now I'm about to sell real estate. So the name of this book, for those who want to know, Learning Strategies, Simple Steps for Superior Sales. And I'm holding it up. So we are a show that we're about the books and we're about the bottle. We don't have a wine expert. Well, other than me, I'm the best you get today. But I'm sipping because we're about to go into the love, because you wrote a book that deals with love. So we're going to talk about that too. So right now I am drinking Bella. You know, see Bella? I don't know if you can say it well with my life. But Bella is a product of Portugal from Icavina Wines, our friend Zachary Harris. He's been on the show before. It drinks much like a sherry. You can see the color, sort of like bourbon. Y'all know I'm a bourbon girl too, but it drinks a lot like a sherry, and you can get it at icavinawines.com.
Okay. Well, I am sipping on Zephyr Hills. I don't drink. So I'm sipping on Zephyr Hills, coming straight from
water too.
Coming directly from Publix right here in Jacksonville, Florida. They come 24 in a pack, very, very affordable. It goes down very smooth. It has a nice light flavor to it. Let me tell you, this is a must-have.
So water is a must have. So Jacksonville, is that home for you?
This is home for me. Yes.
Okay, so I was in Jacksonville 2021. I was
Hmm.
tired of being cooped up in the house. And
Okay.
so I rented a car and I did like a culinary because I love food more than I love wine and bourbon.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
drove down to Jacksonville and I did Savannah and Charleston and I kind of ate my way up 95 back to Richmond. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Do you know what restaurant you went to in Jacksonville?
So I have a really good friend in Jacksonville, and his name is Chef Amadeus. And he won a Food Network show back in the day. Some like
Okay.
I can't think of the name. He's probably gonna be mad because I ain't gonna know it, but whatever. He'll get over it.
Okay. Okay.
But he won his Food Network show, and I found him on Twitter years ago. We had
Okay.
never met in person until I came to Jacksonville, and that was probably 10 years after we had just been corresponding on Twitter. And so I do remember I went to it was a Jamaican restaurant, and it was the first time I had rabbit. I will say that.
Oh wow, rabbit. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I had rabbit, and then Chef Amadeus cooked for me and the girlfriend I brought with me. He cooked for us
Okay.
the second night we were there. Then we left and went to Savannah.
Okay. All right.
So I want to talk about your book called Chronicles of a Quintuple Love Affair.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
told by Vivian G. Mathis to Bobby R. Jeter. So I'm gonna hold this
Yes.
book up. Yeah, it's right here.
Got it.
So there were some parts of this book that were kind of hot. We needed that Zephyr Springs water you're drinking,
Yes.
the cooler stuff.
Yes, this book is very, very special to me. My mother, I love her to life. She's such a wonderful person, and I talk to her and my dad every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday mornings on my way to work or whatnot. So I just call and check on them. They're older now, so you have to check on them, and I try to see them as much as I can. And so my mom, in our conversation, she said, "Baby, I was in love with 5 men at the same time."
I love your mama.
And I said, "Ugh." Mama, because my mind took me to.
Don't be yucking her yum.
Yeah. I don't want to know about my mama's yum. I don't want to know anything about that. And so that's where my mind took me to. And so she said, "No, I'm talking about your brothers and your dad." And so start thinking about, wow, I could write a story as if she was dating each one of us. And
and that's how it reads.
That's how it reads, which is good.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea behind it. And once I was going through it, I had to look at the relationship she had with my older brother, Mark, and then the relationship she had with me. And so I would call and just ask her specific questions about, okay, when Mark was first born, what were some of the things? Because as kids, as brothers, we don't know these things. We're all growing up together. But as an
now,
adult,
did your mom have any girls?
No girls. No girls.
Okay.
No girls. And, just that relationship that she had with each one of us. And these was from her words on how she felt about each one of us. And then one of the best parts about it is all of us served in the military.
Okay.
My dad and my brothers, all my brothers, we all served in the military. And if you look at the book cover really close, you'll see images of all of us. The watermark is all of us in our uniforms.
I see it. And there's no way y'all gonna be able to see it if I hold this up to the light, but I see it.
Yes, you have to get a copy so you can see the publisher and the editor. They did a great job of coming up with the idea and having all of our pictures in uniform on the cover of the book. And the 5 pink roses represent each one of us.
I love that. So all right, I'm going to give you some homework, sir.
Okay, talk to me.
All right, this is your next book because I have a lot of conversations with women and men just about relationship stuff, right? And so there's a lot of, I have 2 sons I have a daughter, she's my oldest, and then I have 2 sons. And they always say you raise your daughters and you spoil your sons, right?
Okay.
That could be kind of true in my space. And so you got to write this book about the influence of your mother and how it impacted you and your brothers adult / romantic / marriage girlfriend lives.
Okay.
So you work on that.
I will work on that. I will definitely work on that. That's actually a pretty good idea. That's a pretty good idea. I can work
I
on that.
need you to do that because there's a lot of conversation because I know I am very with my boys. It is different. I don't know if I have I have a favorite child, but it rotates.
Yeah.
It depends on what I'm dealing with because each child is closer to you based on certain situations. Like my daughter is the one, if we got to knuckle up and we got to square up against somebody, that's my girl.
Right.
Because that's who she is. The boys, they have different, they pull at your heart a different way. And so I do hear a lot of conversations about mothers and sons. And so I'm giving you that homework, Mr. Jeter, and I expect you back on the show to talk about that book.
I sure will. I'm on it.
Perfect.
I'm on it.
So how do people get copies of the books that we talked about? We talked about PTSD as an asshole. We talked a little bit about learning strategies, simple steps for superior sales, and Chronicles of a Quintuple Love Affair.
Yes, it can. Two places you can get them. Amazon. I have these books published through Amazon, and I created my own website also because, and I'm quite sure other authors, if you've been published through someone, you can relate to this here. You lose about 65 to 70% of your proceeds when you get published through Amazon. And so I came up with the idea of creating my own website, and you can go directly to my website, smash-nichols.com, smashnichols.com. It's on the screen, smashnichols.com. You can get any of the books that I have written on the website. You can also check out my podcast on Bobby G's Break Room and talking about various topics on there. And I'm actually going to be filming another episode in the next couple of weeks. Got some interesting guests that want to come on, and we're going to talk about the books even more in detail.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just honored to have met you. I really appreciate you for letting me just come all up in your inbox, and you responded to me, and you were so gracious to agree to be on the show. I appreciate you, and I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to having you back to our show as soon as that next book is published.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And one quick point, I have 2 more books that have already been published.
Okay.
How to Catch the Big Fish. My 4-year-old son, he and I, we go fishing all the time. You got a copy of it. Yes. And this is written by Brock Anthony King Jeter, my 4-year-old son. And it talks about how he's going to catch the big fish. And that's something you can use in life and anything that you're going for. And then my latest book that I've written, this is the first time I have introduced characters to any of my work. And it's called Malediction, Volume 1. Ooh. Love, hate.
What's malediction? What does that mean?
Malediction means when you wish bad things come upon someone. So this is the first time I've introduced characters to my work. And so I'll make sure I send you a copy, an autographed copy of it. But this is flying. This is flying. I'm getting a lot of requests from this. And I had a book signing where I sold out. So I had to order some more copies. But I'll make sure you get a copy. Yes.
All right. I want a copy, and we're going to stay in touch because I'm doing some events in 2024. I may need you to come up to Washington, D.C.
Okay. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it. All right.
Thank you so much for being on the show. To our viewers, if we have other authors who like to be a part of Books and Bottles, we invite you to be on. Email us at info@grosprod.com. We thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. Please share. Keep watching. We thank you. Till next time. Cheers.
Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and